Hello, and thanks for tuning in today. Today, we sat down with Dr. Asher Beckwitt, who is the host of the Self-Healing After Trauma podcast and creator of the Self-Heal program and movement. Their story is unique as someone who survived personal and systematic trauma and discrimination through same-sex childhood sexual abuse. Currently, Dr. Beckwitt uses their own personal experiences, extensive knowledge of trauma studies, and training as a trauma energetics coach to help others heal from their own trauma. They are also an avid advocate and passionate public speaker who supports others in realizing they are more than their trauma and learning to embrace their essential selves. This podcast today is going to be talking about sexual violence and sexual trauma. And so if that is not a safe topic for you to listen to today, please go ahead and skip this episode. There will be many more Connect and Thrive podcast episodes for you to listen to. And please, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. So thank you so much, Dr. Asher, for being here today. While we get started, can you just share a little bit about yourself with the audience?
Sure. Yeah. So first, thank you so much for having me on this. This really means a lot to me. And I am a 4-time sexual trauma survivor. I am actually a speaker and also an author. I am in the process of getting ready to put out my book on healing after sexual trauma, which I'm very excited about. And I do coaching as well. And I have a lovely practice where I do the coaching, and I also have a membership, and I love to help people work through their trauma.
Yeah, you are a wealth of knowledge.
Oh.
I really mean that.
Thank you so much.
So I can't wait to talk with you today, specifically about your expertise, which is somatic healing.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you just share a little bit about what somatic healing is? If anyone listening is like, I never even heard that word before.
Yeah. So first, I really want to take a minute to just kind of demystify it. Because I think when people think about somatic, they think like all this woo, crystal, we're doing some energy, weird stuff. We're not. So soma is actually from a Greek word, and soma means body, the body, right? And so somatic healing is just literally healing the body. So it's not any weird woo stuff. It's just all body-based work.
And how does that differ than, cognitive or talk therapy?
Yeah, so these both are great modalities. So cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, as a lot of therapists like to call it, is really working with the mind. And so it might be doing something like overcoming limiting beliefs, right? So as survivors, we have a lot of limiting beliefs happening within our minds, and these things are projected onto us by our perpetrators, right?
Or society as well.
And society, right? And so we have learned over time to really internalize the blame, the shame, all of the negative thoughts, and those things end up living within us. It's almost like a secondary kind of trauma, if you will. And so what CBT is great at doing is really countering some of those thoughts and trying to figure out like the why behind, like where is this coming from? So it's really mind and somewhat feeling and behavioral based, right? Somatic therapy, on the other hand, is embodied. Okay, so we are in our bodies, we are living in our bodies, we are listening to our bodies, we are just responding to our bodies, and we're meeting our bodies where our bodies are. And sometimes that differs from where our mind is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because our mind could be millions of light years down the road thinking all of these things, because as a society, we really like to live in the future, right? And so we're just taught future, future, future. So what somatic therapy does is it really brings you back into your body, into feeling safe within your body, which takes time. Especially, for survivors of sexual trauma, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to be present. So not in the future, not in the past, but just beautifully in the present.
Can you talk a little bit more about like that brain-body connection and why it's so important to focus on both, right? Because what I'm hearing is that, talk therapy is so valuable, but so is that somatic work. And sometimes, or I would say a lot of the times in our culture, we don't necessarily talk about that body work.
Right, right. I think as a society, we're taught to not be in our body. We're taught to be in our minds. And we are taught, our brains are taught, push through it, right? This is something hard, and we're going to just keep pushing, just keep going. And you'll get through it. You'll overcome it. You're going to be fine, right? But that is not how healing actually works. Healing is really, it's not a linear process.
Yeah.
It's not a beautiful laid out, here's the path, and you get to this point, and then all of a sudden you're healed. Healing is all over the place. And so if we have in our minds, we're just going to push till we get to that point where, yay, we feel better, then we're healed. That's not the reality of the healing process. So by being able to connect your mind with your body, it's really about regulating the nervous system, right? Because when we have a trauma, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about this, but when we have a trauma, then it tends to spark us off into some kind of a survival response. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But then so connecting those things is our thoughts do control what's happening within our body, but our body also can control what's happening upstairs.
100%.
And we can totally spiral out up here. We can spiral out in our minds, and then we can bring it back to our body. So when you marry the two of them, and you don't just have one healing modality, but you have multiple healing modalities, in terms of somatic work, in terms of CBT, in terms of, other types of therapy, then you're really getting both sides of things.
Absolutely. I think that is so important, right? Like we go to what would you call it? Like a family practitioner, doctor, to make sure that our physical body is okay every year. Right. Usually people will go to their annual physical. So to me, it makes sense that it would be another form of healing and safety is bringing it back to the body, like you said, especially for survivors who've experienced any type of losing their bodily autonomy.
Absolutely. And it's so important, if you don't mind, if I just take a moment to expand on that. As a survivor, if I can just share my story a little bit. So I had, these 4 times of sexual trauma, and the last thing that I wanted to do was to be anywhere near my body. I wanted to self-harm my body. And I did self-harm for a long time. And my body was danger. And the only way that I could have control over my body was to self-harm. And that's really what it was. It was just a form of being able to have that control, because my body felt so out of control for so long that even the thought of doing anything was rough. So when I first started down this road, and I was actually doing a lot of this during COVID, and I was at home, I was on Zoom, so that made it a little bit safer, right? And one of the instructors was like, okay, so today we're going to invite you to do some self-massage. And my entire system freaked out. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I have to touch my hand? And heck no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
especially if that's how you were feeling in your body. Like, no, it's not a safe place.
No.
Yeah.
It was like the biggest danger zone in the world. It was the one thing I wanted to get rid of. Yeah. And so then I got to a point where it took a long time, but I got to a point where finally I could just kind of rub my hand gently, and I was okay. So that was step number 1. And then getting my mind to align with actually wanting to be in my body, that took like 3 years. Yeah.
Again, healing doesn't happen overnight.
It does not.
Yeah.
And slowly I've been able to work into being in my body, getting a sense of what my body feels like, what it feels like to actually feel safe within your body, because safety is a whole another realm, especially for survivors. You can feel like you're safe perhaps in an environment, but even that is really tricky because we're like in hypervigilant states pretty much all the time. That's the state that we live in.
Yeah.
So even to just be able to slow things down enough to register, to be in my body was a process.
I appreciate you sharing your story so much. Thank you. And I'm sure there are many people listening to this who may have experienced the same thing that you have in terms of not feeling safe in their own body. So again, I just appreciate you sharing that so people feel like they're not alone.
They're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. And it's okay to be exactly where you are.
Yes. Yes.
And to meet yourself exactly where you are.
Yes. That unconditional self-love for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not easy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've had to learn that I write about in my book and that I've been writing about recently is about learning safety is really about attunement, right? It's about attuning to your mind, attuning to your body, attuning to all that is you, attuning to your spiritual side, if you have one, attuning to all dimensions of what is you.
Yes.
And then from that, it's permission.
Yeah.
Right? It's allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to access that.
Yes.
And saying, it's okay. It's okay if I touch my body. And even asking your body for permission. Is it okay if I touch you on the hand right now? Are you feeling okay?
And saying it out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel okay with that right now? And literally communicating with your body. And then from there, it's about compassion.
Yes.
And that's really the root of it all. Right? Because and that's where the CBD comes in so handy, and the talk therapy and all those things, because we tend to talk ourselves into things, talk ourselves out of things, talk ourselves in spirals, right? But when we can get to a point where we can just say, okay, I am here right now. I forgive you for what's happened. I forgive you, my body, my sense, my soul, my spirit, my essence, my everything. I forgive you. Right?
Yes. And that's huge.
Allow yourself to sit with that.
Yes.
Yeah. And it can be a process where I'm learning to sit with myself and give myself permission and forgive myself.
And like you said, that can take a long time, right?
Yeah.
I think I don't want to put a timeline on anyone's healing. I know you said it took a couple years to feel safe in your body once you started that work.
To start to feel safe.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, to start to feel safe.
Yes.
But that really leads me into my next question of what role does the body play in holding trauma?
Yeah, so the body plays a really important role in terms of holding trauma. So what happens is when something traumatic happens, our body goes into overwhelm. It doesn't know how to process what has just happened to us. And our mind and our body physically goes into overwhelm. And so what that means is that we might have one of these, what we call survival responses. So that could be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Yep. And so fight is okay, I'm going to duke it out with you and I'm going to protect myself, right? These are all forms of protection, of protecting who we are of ourselves, right? So it's like if a tiger were to jump in front of you and want to eat you alive, you might go into fight where you're trying to fight the tiger off with a stick or something, right? It's the same thing that happens with trauma.
And I wanted to share too that response is not something that people can choose either. It's an automatic response. And I think even sometimes just knowing that of oh, my body chose this response automatically and it was trying to protect myself in the moment. Sometimes that is even a really good starting point for some people because they may think, well, I don't know why I reacted that way or, whatever it may be, but just reminding or letting people know that it's not your fault. Right. And what your body was trying to do was protect you in the moment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is just evolution of the body.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And we are taught these primal pieces and they are what helped us survive for all these years as a species.
Yeah.
And they still help us survive. So, when we're talking about the fight, we might also have the flight where we kind of dissociate and we leave and we take off because our brain can't process what's happening in front of us, right? And fight, flight, fawn, right? Where we just kind of it's almost like we're listless to some degree. Like we just kind of roll over like, because we just don't know what to do. And then there's freeze. Right, where we just literally are frozen, stuck in that response.
Like, what is it? What animal is it? Playing possum? Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
literally freeze.
Right.
That's their response.
They literally freeze.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not just the human species, which, is also nice to bring up too, I think, because this is a purely biological function. Yeah. And it happens across all species. I see it in my dog every time there's a thunderstorm. She's sitting there like, shaking.
Literally shaking. Yes.
Yeah.
Same with my dog anytime a firework goes off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what the beauty is that somatic experiencing and somatic healing works on that fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So it helps us to go from one of those states back into a regulated state, which is great because nobody wants to live in that state. It's not very comfortable to be in that state. Unfortunately, a lot of people do kind of live in that state.
Constantly.
Yeah. They live most of their lives in that state. And it's a very uncomfortable place to be. And it makes it very hard to relate to yourself and to others.
Because if you're always, what you refer to as like hypervigilant, if you're always on guard, always looking for the next thing that's going to harm you, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say that anyone is doing something wrong if that's how they're operating, because that's not the case at all.
No.
But it's an exhausting state to live in. And there are people who can help you get into a body that feels safe, in a mode that feels safe.
Yeah. And it takes time, but, I'll just share from my personal experience. Prior to getting into this really intense work, this intense healing work, I was at a point where it was like every restaurant that I went to, every store that I went to, every place that I went to, and I wouldn't get in elevators. I wouldn't go in enclosed stairs unless I was like the only one, things like that. And all of these places that I went to, I was always next to the door or very close to the door. I always had to sleep in the position of the bed next to the door. Everything was always so that I could get out if something were to happen because I was constantly fearing danger.
Yeah. Constantly looking for exits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me personally, and I hope that this is not too personal, but I've feared constantly getting raped because of my past experiences. So anywhere that I would go, I would make sure that I looked around and all of these things so that I would make sure that I was safe.
Yeah.
So it's interesting living in that state because your heckles are constantly up, right? I always bring it back to a dog because I'm a huge dog lover. So like, I swear,
think a lot of people are.
I swear I'm like a dog in like another life, so my little
That's why
heckles
you're so
are up.
friendly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So my little heckles were up everywhere I went and every time I left my home. And I didn't even want to leave my home half the time because I was so afraid. I was so afraid of going out.
Yeah, that fear piece, that's huge.
Yeah.
And so when it comes, and you may have answered this already, but I want to make sure that I want to ask it to make sure you did.
Sure.
But what role does the body play in holding trauma? Why does it play that role in holding trauma?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I thank you for bringing me back to the question.
Oh, it's okay.
So what happens is when we have a trauma, right, and we go into this survival state, then that's energy, right? And energy is created from our nervous system generating that energy. And then that energy doesn't have anywhere to go. And so it gets stuck in different parts of our body. So, I'm sure that you've experienced a situation where like your shoulders went up or maybe your jaw got tight or maybe you felt something tight in your belly.
And many times that happens and I don't necessarily realize it in the moment either until like I'm literally like, oh, my jaw is sore. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's because I was grinding my teeth.
Yeah.
Or I was like really tense. you know, or, my shoulders are sore. Oh, it's because I was like this half the day, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like bracing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we brace because that energy got stuck there, and we're having things that we might not even be like conscious of that are reminding us of something that happened.
Yes.
And our body is reacting to it like it's happening right now.
Right. And reliving.
The
Yes.
experience on a bodily level. Right. And so it gets stuck. So then we get these like lumps on our shoulders, and we get chronic pain, and we might even have chronic illness, or like me, like my good friend, she used to say, you wear your shoulders like they're earrings.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because I walk around like this.
Yeah. Yeah. But did it help to have someone like share that with you though? Because again, like I notice that sometimes, even for myself, like it can be really helpful to have an outside person say like, hey, you seem really tense right now. Are you okay? Because again, sometimes you don't realize it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it depends on the person, right? Because like you want to invite people into that, and you want people to feel comfortable when they're talking about it. You don't want them to feel
You don't want
like
to pressure them.
Yeah, and you don't want to
Yeah.
call out something, right? You don't
That's
want-
so
yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like really just inviting them to be curious about themselves
Yeah.
and about their own reactions. Like, hey, I'm noticing this. Like, are you noticing that? Like, what's going on?
Phrasing
Yeah.
it as more of an open-ended question.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
For sure, because you're right. Because sometimes, even unintentionally, we may say something, and even just the way in which we ask that can be triggering or upsetting to another person.
Right.
So-
And it can be triggering to ourselves. So
Yeah.
it's not only inviting that kind of, allowance from other people, but also giving yourself that permission to ask that of yourself. And I do that all day long. Like, hey, okay, wait a minute. Like my jaw is like glued shut. Like what is going on? And I will gently ask myself like, hey, you doing okay? What's happening?
Yeah. Again, it sounds like really being in tune with your body.
Absolutely. Right.
Because you can't tell yourself to, hey, it's okay, and talk to yourself nicely and be in your body if you're not even aware of it.
Exactly. And so it's first, really about that forgiveness and,
Excuse me.
and then that permission and then that attunement and then getting to that point of safety where you can practice those things on the day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Because it's not going to just resolve. Your body's not going to be like, oh, I'm done with this nervous system response, right?
And sorry.
But it's,
No, please continue.
I was just going to say, but it's just about learning to deal with it when it occurs.
Yes, which I think is a great segment to my next
Yes.
question, which is how does somatic healing interact with the nervous system and the stress responses that you described?
Yeah, so somatic healing helps you to come back into your body. It teaches you exercises and, sometimes really quirky ways, like wiggling your butt.
Like a dog,
Right?
wagging a tail.
Oh my gosh, we come full circle. It's a full circle moment. Love it. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to hurt your
No,
hand.
it's fine. Thank you. We have a full circle moment with the dog. Wag, wag, wag. Right? Wag your tail. Yeah. Wag your tail when you feel any of these responses, because automatically that will get you back into a parasympathetic state.
I used to dance growing up, and I really
beautiful.
feel like that really helped, like really helped me express myself when I was in adolescence. Yeah. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I'm sure it does. But I think dance is another really great way.
Absolutely. Dance, any kind of movement, really. Even like going and working out sometimes like that. Like, I swear that's how I deal with a lot of stress in my life. Like I walk and things like that. And that's how I get it out of my system, right? Because otherwise the energy is just stuck.
Yeah.
And it needs a place to go. And if it doesn't have a place to go, it's just going to stay there until you can go back in and access it. And that's a lot of what I do within my helping and others with healing is we go and we access where that energy is stuck and give it the space to breathe, give it the space to actually release. And so a lot of body-based practices like breath work, right? And
Love deep
trauma
breathing.
release kind of responses, those kinds of things are all different forms of somatic work.
And I personally, I love a sound bath.
Yeah.
Is that akin or similar to body work? I know it has to do with, like, I am not a sound bath practitioner, by the way, but I know it has to do with the vibrations of the bowls, and certain bowls will actually help you work through certain things, right? Based on the vibration that the bowl gives out. So I don't know if they're connected.
There can be elements of it, right? And I think it comes along with the breath work, along with the vibration of the sound balls, and feeling that within your system and allowing that vibration to really release that trauma. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are some well, we're actually already talking about it. My goodness, this is awesome. What are other different kinds of somatic therapy that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, like Tai Chi, I think I mentioned maybe yoga, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
Anything that's really just based in the body, where you're moving, but even stillness, honestly, because for a lot of survivors, right? Stillness is a very challenging concept, and it's a very challenging place to be. And I know of a lot of survivors, and I struggled with this myself. All I did for years was just go, 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 one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, right? And my schedule was jam-packed, and I never gave myself downtime.
Well, because if you continue to just keep going and keep building things in your schedule, then you aren't going to have alone time. You aren't going to have time to sit and be in the present.
Right. And you're not going to have time to be still in your body.
Yes.
And being still in your body means danger, especially for sexual trauma survivors, right? Because when we were still, we were injured deeply, right? So getting to a point of even being able to be in your body enough to be still, and actually I try to approach almost stillness as like a last piece of the healing process, because it is such a challenging part. So I work with people for a long time, and we work on movement before we work on stillness, because that is so hard.
Absolutely. And like you said, healing does not happen overnight. It happens in stages. So that totally makes sense not to just jump right into the hardest thing.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you explain? Well, let's talk about it. Can you explain a somatic exercise? Or maybe we do have a video portion that goes on YouTube for those who just listen to us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Are you able to kind of show us?
I can show you, and I can walk you through with words.
Perfect, yes. And then for those who are just listening to the audio, you'll have to go onto YouTube.
That's right. That's right. First, imagine that you're a dog. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to interject. A little humor goes a long way when you're talking about tough things.
Yes.
So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually take a photo of my dog and put it into all the presentations I do for Hardly House. Because I'm like, we have to have some cuteness going on when we're talking about such a difficult topic, you know? So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I swear,
Yeah. Sorry for all the people who are not dog people.
Right. But if you're animal, or even if you're not an animal person, find what works for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I just really want to gently invite you and invite our audience to just gently place your hand over your heart. And let's just close our eyes. And if you're not comfortable with this, totally fine. Totally fine. Maybe if it's comfortable enough for you to imagine it in your mind, or if it's not even comfortable to do that, to maybe just even have a thought about it, even just for a second. That's where we start. Okay, and for those who are comfortable, let's just kind of feel into our chests here and feel what's going on. And we're going to just take a few breaths, and we're going to go in through our nose. And then when we blow out, we're going to blow out, but we're going to blow out through pursed lips. So what I mean by that is have your lips barely touching. So let's just do 3 of those nice deep breaths. One more. We're going to slow it down. We're going to really try to settle into that spot that we're holding in our chest and just kind of get familiar with it. And let's just see, like, are there any colors going on? What color is coming to mind? And if a color's not coming to mind, that's okay too. But we're just kind of feeling into it. Maybe there's a shape. Perhaps there's a texture. And if anything comes up, if you notice anything in that spot or elsewhere in your body, feel free to just put your hand somewhere else. Like, I'm noticing some things are coming up in my gut, so I'm just gonna gently rest another hand on my gut. Then I'm gonna just really gently, and I invite you to gently ask yourself, what's happening here? So it could have shifted, it could have gone to another place in your body. It could still rest in your chest. But just what's happening? Let's get curious. As we get curious, you might notice that that spot tends to dissolve a little bit. And if it starts to dissolve, you can add to that by just gently taking your hand and brushing against that spot. And what we're doing right now is we're releasing any kind of trauma or tension that we feel in that area. And we're just taking that and we're saying, hey, you don't belong here. This is not my energy. So let's just take that and brush it away. And when you feel like it's kind of gone and subsided, I'm kind of imagining it parsing out like I was blowing into dust, and now that dust is blowing in multiple directions, but it's no longer mine, it's outside of me. Now I can just take my hand and put it back on my heart and maybe put one on your gut, because that's really kind of your soul. And let's just feel like this is me. This is me. I'm steady. I'm steady. I'm solid right here. I am solid in this space right here, right now. And if you can feel that in your gut, and feel that in your chest. And I am safe right here. I give myself permission to learn to feel safe and to feel safe right here, right now, in this moment. Let's just take a few more breaths and just let that anchor in. I am safe. I am learning how to feel safe right here, right now, in this moment. And let's just breathe in that safety. And let it just fill every part of you, every cell within you. It is surrounding every cell, every piece of you. When you feel comfortable, you can kind of gently open your eyes and return knowing that you are safe, you are here, and that it is safe to be present.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh my, absolutely. Before we even started recording, Dr. Asher did a little session with me I just feel so calm after doing that. Seriously.
Yeah, because what's beautiful about it, and I'll give you the trick, right?
Oh,
I'll give
please.
you the behind the scenes view, if you will, is when you're in the present and you're not being hijacked by all of your survival mechanisms and you're fully there, that's when you can make decisions. That's when you can act. That's when you are in your power, your strength, and you can do anything in that power and in that strength.
Absolutely. You're in that point, you're making decisions in your truest self.
Exactly.
Yes.
And not in what we call the hijacked self,
Yeah.
right? Because when our survival mechanisms kick in, it's hijacking who we are, right? But then when we get to this presence, it's allowing us to return to our essential selves, which is the core of who we are.
That's beautiful. Again, I really appreciate you sharing, and I hope you all followed along. And if you didn't, I'd highly recommend you going back and doing it when you are in a safe place. Please don't do that, like while you're driving
No.
or something.
Definitely not while you're driving.
But when it feels comfortable for you all, I definitely would invite you to do that if you weren't able to in that process. But having done that, and I think you honestly have kind of talked about this already, are there any people who do you think would benefit the most from somatic healing or that type of somatic experience?
Absolutely. So I would say that somatic healing is really the best for folks who have done some healing work and they might feel like it's incomplete or that there's something missing, like there's a gap, but they don't necessarily know what that gap is. But they know that there's something else there and it's not quite complete yet. Yeah. And I would say, really, for people who are marginalized, so, you know, people, different race, ethnicity, social class, LGBTQIA, us marginalized folks who have historically been pathologized by the mental health community, that this is a different model. And by doing this, it's oftentimes safer, a safer point of entry for folks to heal as opposed to a clinical model.
I so appreciate you bringing that up. So when it comes to somatic healing, there is no like diagnostic criteria, diagnostic manual, or as people in that field would refer to as like the DSM-5, which is the most up-to-date book.
Right.
But I so appreciate you bringing that up because the DSM prior to 5 and the 5th edition have significantly hurt marginalized communities.
Yeah.
So like I said, I really, really appreciate you sharing that, and hopefully someone listening to this can feel like you said, like this is an easier, more accessible thing that people can participate in and practice.
Yeah, because it's really about embodiment and meeting your body where it's at. There's no pathologizing. There's no history of that and calling people out and making people feel less than if they don't do X, Y, and Z. And I have benefited greatly by the mental health system, so I don't put that down by any stretch. And there's also room for growth in other ways.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
what I was going to say is it doesn't like necessarily categorize somebody in a box and then they feel like they can't get out of that.
Right,
that
or they have to
box.
push through that box. I think there's a lot of people who, at least a lot of my experiences, I felt like I had to overcome, or I had to talk until it made sense, or I had to do whatever it was, and as opposed to just be and sit where I am and just meet myself and my body and my mind where I am.
I love that because I do feel like a big part of talk therapy is getting past the trauma,
Right.
right? And again, looking ahead, not necessarily holding the present and where you are now.
Right. And so I like to say this is embodied, not performative.
I love that. Yeah. For those who, because I know you said that the somatic healing work is best for those who have had some form of like healing, or maybe they're not actively in crisis.
Right.
Right. However, what happens if somebody is practicing somatic healing and they do get into a crisis state? Do you have any support or help for those folks?
Right. So I would say that it's not good if something just like immediately happened and you need time, because your body is not safe, and that is legit. Like, it shouldn't be safe.
Yeah.
So like, don't try to reprogram that because our instincts and those survival mechanisms are there for an actual reason. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we also need to utilize them and appreciate them and embody those.
Yeah.
And so if you're dissociating or things like that, or you've had some kind of an illness or some kind of problem with your body, or you've got, some kind of issue going on with your body, you want to be really cautious as to how you approach somatic work.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to put that kind of disclaimer out there. And in addition to that, so I would say that what will come up in somatic work is not necessarily a crisis, right? But it is a release of what your body wants to release. So trust that what is coming up is what your body is ready to let go of. And so that typically the way in which the body brings it out is not necessarily in a crisis form. It might be remembering something, or it might be tapping into something, but your body is not there to cause you trauma, right? So if we're really tapped into the body, it's not going to cause us trauma. It's going to just release it in its own beautiful way, on its own beautiful time.
And for those who are actively in crisis, please reach out to Hartley House's hotline number, 301-662-8800. And if you're not local to Frederick, Maryland, we can get you that phone number, and I'll leave in the description notes the national hotlines for sexual violence and for domestic intimate partner violence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Alrighty. 2 more questions.
Please.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. How do you measure progress with somatic therapy, or do you even measure progress with somatic therapy?
Yeah, so I would say that somatic therapy isn't necessarily a process where you are measuring, right? Because that is really deviated from our Western standards, our Western way of, this is like I'm an anthropologist, okay, so I'm going to resort into my PhD brain for a minute here.
No, please. I heard that also coming out when you were talking about the fight or flight mode.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, it's clear you're an anthropologist for sure.
I am definitely an anthropologist. So, yeah, and I'm a scientist, right? So that should give more legitimacy to this whole woo thing, too, because I am a scientist. I am a researcher. I've been doing research for 26 years. Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah, very long time. So, but yeah, so just kind of coming back, it's a process of really just, again, meeting your body where it is, and then allowing your body to progress in a way that feels comfortable and safest for it, right? So I can look back now, and I can, from a Western perspective, and I can say, like, a year ago, I was not comfortable like detecting my own energy and going, I'm feeling a little off, right? Whereas like now I do that like all day long. I'm like, that feels a little off. Like, what's up? And I was not comfortable at all. So if we want to look at it like that, we can see the progress over the time. And the other thing that happens too is now I know when my body's in fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I know when I'm activated, and I know how to get myself out.
That's huge.
Right. And I have so many tools in my little imaginary tool box here that if one doesn't work, because your body is different, it's constantly changing, right? It changes based on what we eat, what we, how much sleep we get,
Our environment,
what's happening in our lives, our stage of life, right? I mean, all of these things, like our body is constantly changing and evolving. So it's just constantly getting to know and evolve and change with your body, right? And getting in that flow of things,
Yeah.
right? And so what might work one day for me, wiggling my tail, might not work another day for me. That might actually be like feeling like, I don't want to do that. So just listening to your body and going, that's not working for me right now. So, but okay, so what else can I pull out my toolbox? Oh, maybe this whole like brushing off thing. Oh, that feels pretty good. So let me do that. So the way to tell the difference is like, if your body feels constricted, that's not the thing to be doing right then. If your body feels open and expansive, boom.
Yeah.
You got it.
And I love that idea too of like, again, progress not being linear, because again, I think healing is not linear. There may be, like you said, there may be times where we are not anticipating being triggered or being in an environment that's going to activate our nervous system, but it happens. And then all of a sudden, right, we may feel like we're back to square one. But if we can release that and say, like, this is healing, is that push and pull, and learning how to self-soothe and be okay in my body and find that safe body. Right. That's huge.
And that comes back to that compassion, that self-compassion, right? Yeah. Because it's just meeting your body where it is at any given moment, right? Yeah. And it's like not about judgment. And I think that's so important to hear and to say, because I think as survivors too, like we are so hard on ourselves. Like not only did the violation occur, right, but then we're like, society expects that somehow we're going to overcome it, and it's going to be like we're going to be okay, and we're going to be healed, and we're going to move on, and we're going to do this. And then there's pressure from family, pressure from friends, pressure from spouses, like, why aren't you okay right now? Like, and then there's a lot of like blaming of you, like, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And and then people want to help you, and you're like, okay, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And just let me meet myself where I am.
Yes. And I also want to share, too, that for those who genuinely can't even start being in a safe body because they are in crisis or they are continuously being abused where they live, or they can't get out of that situation currently in this moment, just a reminder, too, that Hartley House or a place like Hartley House is going to be around you, and please reach out for support. You deserve to be able to live in that safe body and in a safe environment.
Amen. I love how you said deserve.
Yes.
Because you do. You deserve to feel safe.
Yeah.
You deserve to feel seen, and you deserve to feel heard. And you deserve to have a regulated nervous system and not have anyone ever disrupt that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. This is such an amazing episode. Again, I just want to thank you so much. No. I feel like I'm learning so much. I feel so much calmer after that mini workshop session, whatever you want to call it. But one last question.
Yes, please.
What is one thing you want listeners to take away from this episode?
Yeah. What I really want people, and particularly survivors, to take from this episode is that you are beautiful, one, and two, just meet yourself exactly where you are. Give yourself that permission to fully meet yourself, meet your power, meet your strength, meet your body, meet exactly who you are, because you are beautiful. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be healed, and you deserve to have that energy in and around and through you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asher. I don't think I've ever actually said this before on the podcast, but I really, I'm like, I gotta say it because I'm sure people are going to want to follow you and your work.
Oh,
Where can people find you?
Oh, yes, in my body.
I love that.
Wagging my tail.
That's like the best answer ever. Yeah, I love that.
And if you're interested in coming and also, finding some ways to feel in your body and you want to wag with me, then I invite you to please visit www.asher.com. And there you can find all kinds of information about the coaching, about the membership. I'm also happy to come speak, do workshops, and I am getting ready to put a pre-order link to my book up there. So hopefully that will be helpful as well. And that is on 8 steps to self-heal from sexual trauma. And the focus is on healing from a survivor-based perspective.
And also, if you want to see Dr. Asher in action, please come to our Take Back the Night event, which is going to happen on Hood College's campus here in Frederick County, Maryland. Really, really excited about it. Dr. Asher is going to do a mini somatic workshop similar to the one that you did today. Well, I shouldn't say similar. It'll be different, I'm sure. But it'll be really, really healing.
I have
nice.
some tricks up my sleeve.
Yeah. And you're also going to have a table there, too, where
yes.
If anyone is interested in learning more about your book or the subscription service that you provide, you'll have information about that as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I just want to put in one little extra plug, if you don't mind.
Please.
So, along with Hartley House, and I feel so honored to be able to do this in conjunction with Hartley House as a beautiful partner. We are hosting an online free virtual summit, and online and free and virtual. Yes, you got it. And that is for survivors. And we are going to have a lot of different somatic work in there. We have 3 other speakers in addition to myself. We are all very embodied people. And it's going to just be a lovely experience for survivors to come. And that is on March 14th. We will put a link for you all to be able to sign up. And I would love for folks to come and just be there. I just really want to get this out, and I want to reach as many survivors as possible, because you're not alone. And I've been there, and I know what it's like, and I'm there in some days. And you know what? Let's just be together. Be together.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you brought up the soul care summit. I was like,
yes.
I had it on my list of things to say. I don't know how I skipped it, but thank you.
And I forgot to say, actually, it's called Soul Care for Self-Care. And it is not only for sexual trauma survivors, but it's also for those who support them. So any clinicians or family or, spouses or anybody else who wants to attend and learn some awesome tools, we are here for all of that.
Lastly, I forgot to mention the date for Take Back the Night. That's going to be the evening of Thursday, April 23rd. I'll put both of the events in the show notes so you can learn more about that. But again, thank you so much, Dr. Asher, for being on, for sharing your literal wealth of knowledge about somatic healing and anthropology and all of the amazing things that you know about. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really feel honored to be here. I'm really hopeful that the audience will come and engage in more things with Hood, and then on March 14th with the whole Survivor Summit. And really, Hartley has a very special place in my heart and in my healing. So thank you for that.